Are we being brainwashed with radical leftist propaganda through video games? The leaked details of one of the most highly anticipated video games reveals that we are. The new game, titled The Last of Us Part 2, is set to release in June and appears to promote radicalized modern leftist culture while it bashes Christians and white people and encourages leftism. First, a little background so non-video game people can understand what is going on. The first game in the series, The Last of Us, released in 2013, is one of the most popular video games in history. In the story, Joel, whose daughter is killed in the chaos of the virus outbreak, begrudgingly agrees to watch over Ellie, a 13-year-old girl who has been orphaned, and the two characters bond as they try to survive. The emotional father-daughter dynamic between Joel and Ellie is what makes the game so extraordinary, and has been touted as one of the most powerful and affecting dynamics between two characters in video games. However, the sequel, titled The Last of Us Part 2, due to release in June, is purported to promote radicalized liberal propaganda, or as having gone woke, as many call it. We know this due to the details that were leaked a few weeks ago by a disgruntled employee. In the new game, the focus of the narrative has apparently shifted, and it is no longer the father-daughter dynamic of Joel and Ellie, which touched the hearts of millions of video gamers, but instead, the leaked scenes reveal that the focus is now on teenage Ellie and her teen lesbian girlfriend, Dina. Now, are we saying that gay people should be hated? No, not at all. But fans are perplexed by this change, which is highlighted by a kissing scene where the two teenage girls make out during a slow dancing segment. The new game also promotes Christophobia, which is the fear, dislike, and hatred of Christianity and Christians. They do this by making the villains of the new game a tribe of white conservative Christian survivors who are hunting down and trying to kill Ellie and her girlfriend because they hate gay people. To top it off, Joel, the leading character and surrogate father to Ellie in the first game, is brutally killed at the hands of an apparent transgender character who, in the pictures, looks like an overtly muscular and masculine, short-haired woman. Honestly, it's hard to tell if it's a man or a woman. Then, you are required to play as a new transgender character to progress the game. Fans of the series are dumbfounded at this since Joel is the main character and most popular character of the series, and people have been looking forward to playing as Joel since the development of Last of Us 2 began. So, they are portraying Christians as terrorists? Is this how they see us? Doesn't that mean the game itself is promoting so-called hate speech, to use a leftist term? Hate speech is a term leftists came up with, so does it not apply to Christians? Aren't they the ones who promote this idea of hate speech and that it shouldn't be free speech? But these social justice warriors go out and make an entire video game filled with hate speech. And they are having a trans person kill a man? I mean, are they now saying that trans people are murderers? Or do they just hate men? Which is it? Internet platforms from Twitter to YouTube have hate speech guidelines. Are they letting this hateful, bigoted video game run ads on their platforms while silencing conservative voices? Sounds hypocritical to me. I mean, these are their standards, not ours. I believe in free speech, as do most conservatives, but we are going by their rules now. I'm just turning the tables and using their own criteria, but I guess their rules don't apply to us. If you are familiar with liberal leftist ideas and messages such as identity politics or victim culture, transgenderism, anti-Americanism, radical feminism, Christophobia, heterophobia, which is the fear and hatred of straight people, caucasophobia, which is the fear and hatred of white people, or misandry, the fear and hatred of men, especially straight men, or even more so straight men who are also white, just to name a few things.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man!
Then you will also recognize them in what seems like a majority of entertainment nowadays. There's a reason Joel, the popular main character of the series, gets killed off, and in such a brutal way. He's male, he's straight, and he's white. A triple threat to radical leftists who blame males, straight people, and white people for the problems of the world. The symbolism in this is not lost on those of us who have been paying attention. The transgender character brutalizes and kills Joel, the white, straight, and male protagonist, and effectively replaces him as the game then forces you to play as a new LGBTQ character. The message is loud and clear. Now, are we saying we should hate trans people? No, not at all. Most folks believe in live and let live, and that people from all walks of life should have the freedom to live their lives as they see fit, and to believe whatever they want to believe in. Even people who are more conservative or Christian have an enormous level of tolerance for people who believe differently and live differently than they do. I really believe that in 2020, most people who are not fans of your gay, lesbian, or trans culture will protect your freedom to think and live as you see fit, even when they aren't a fan of it. They certainly are not going to kill you like radicalized Muslims might do in some countries where they behead LGBTQ people or even throw them off of rooftops. Instead, most people who don't agree with your lifestyle or beliefs will protect your freedom to think and live however you wish. Even though people on the left and social justice advocates like to pretend that Christians and conservatives are violence and evil incarnate. But this is simply not true. I heard someone say once, "I don't agree with or believe in your lifestyle, but I will defend your freedom to believe in whatever you want and to live as you see fit." Now that's true tolerance. Are we saying that Muslims or that Muslims as a group behead LGBTQ people and throw them off of rooftops? No. However, an article from ClarionProject.org says, quote, "Gays are routinely persecuted across the Middle East. In Iran, homosexual sex carries a death penalty. In Saudi Arabia and Qatar, any sexual acts, including homosexual acts carried out by married people outside of their marriage, carry the death penalty. However, given that homosexuality otherwise carries prison sentences or lashings, there are no outlets for LGBTQ people to have a normal sexual relationship." End quote. Now, are we saying you should hate Muslim people? No. But there is evidence of radicalization within Muslims in the Middle East and certain radicalized Muslim groups in Western countries, including the USA. This used to be common knowledge, especially around the time of the September 11th attacks, but now we aren't supposed to talk about it, or we could get scolded, called a bigot, a xenophobe, or a racist, or even get ourselves censored on the internet. But I digress. But this kind of thing, injecting radical leftist politics into movies, songs, books, or video games, going woke as it is sometimes called, has been happening more and more within the last few years. Liberal leftist culture is being heavily introduced into all types of mainstream entertainment in order to influence you and your kids and to normalize extremist leftist culture and leftist ideas. Putting leftism into video games is especially insidious because it targets the youth at a time when they are at most risk of being influenced by these backwards, incoherent New Age ideas. And propagandizing these leftist ideals to the masses, and especially to the children of people who don't agree with these types of ideas, is unethical and overall just kind of a dick move. Look, I'm going to conclude this by saying this. We know that political activists are trying to spread these ideas through video games and entertainment overall. But what we're not saying is we should hate LGBTQ people at all. There's no hate involved here. But a lot of companies, corporations, businesses, or what have you, are currently really trying to influence us with social justice warrior identity politics, leftist ideology. That's what this is. Are we saying it's LGBTQ people who are pushing this stuff like some kind of conspiracy? No. What we are saying is social justice activists or leftist political activists are pushing leftist culture through the things they are putting out for us to consume, and a lot of people don't appreciate it because we have our own beliefs. Even worse, too many conservatives still haven't figured out that this is happening. Look, if you're a leftist, believe whatever you want to believe. We support you. It's a free country, but just leave the rest of us out of it. Now, conservatives or just folks who don't follow this kind of stuff, you might be asking yourself now, Why are there so many leftist social justice activists within these companies who care more about pushing their crazy beliefs than preserving the company they built up, which is now headed off a cliff? Where are all these radicalized people with these crazy ideas coming from? Well, that's a topic I will cover in my next video. In the meantime, we must realize what is happening. Radicalized people on the left are trying to change our culture, and I will continue to create awareness. Until next time, this is Ruhveer sounding the alarm.